Ever been in a room with someone you've known for years, but act like you're ghosting an ex you barely dated? That's pretty much what happened in this episode of Sister Wives. After 30 years of marriage, the Browns could barely acknowledge each other at Logan's wedding.
Yeah, and with so much hurt between everyone still being so fresh, will it even be possible for them to remain cordial as they continue to have weddings, events, and the births of grandbabies in the future?
This episode sheds light on the heartbreaking side of the Sister Wives dumpster fire, so let's dig in.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I was raised in a family with 4 moms and 35 kids. We were members of the Ex-FLDS Church, which is a polygamous community run by their prophet, Warren Jeffs, who is now serving a life sentence in prison.
I was raised mainstream LDS in Utah. Sam and I have been married for 10 years and have 2 awesome kiddos.
Yes, we do.
And a very cute cat named Bootsy.
Yes, we do. Bootsy! He's asleep somewhere. We want to quickly thank all of you so much. We have surpassed 75,000 subscribers.
Woohoo!
As you know, we have a goal of reaching 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes. This week on Sister Wives I feel like the whole tone of everything changed. It's been so much anger, Kody feeling his FOMO and being angry. And I mean, he's still angry, but this episode felt sad. Like, I felt sad for all of them, I think, for the first time. Like, it's always been sadness for these wives at different times, but it's more of like an anger sad, a smad. I've been more smad about it, where you're like frustrated at Kody for something or you feel bad for them, right? But this episode, I felt like was more heartbreaking.
Yeah, that should be the title of this episode, the sad Brown family. It's just so much of it. We felt bad. I think I felt bad for each of them during this episode at different points of time. One of them that I felt really bad for was Janelle, because in the very beginning, as they talk about this event or the wedding they went to, which of course we Googled, and according to Google, it was for Logan and Michelle. I'm sure you've all done that by now as well.
Yeah, I don't know why they even tried to keep it a secret. Like, why? I mean, obviously, I'm sure that's because Logan and Michelle asked for it to be that way. But
right.
If they
the
thought
cameras
that
weren't welcome.
Yeah, and if they thought, though, that people weren't going to go and Google that and find out what wedding they were going to, we're like, what wedding from this random person? Because it made it seem like it was outside the family, right? So it's like, what random wedding would everyone have to go to?
There were some key giveaways, though. It kept showing scenes of Las Vegas, you know, the strip and different things as they were talking about the event and the wedding. And anyway, and that makes sense because I don't know for sure if they still live here, but I know that Logan and Michelle met here, so I believe.
College. Yeah, I think they still live here.
I believe she's from here, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, it was their wedding. And of course, that's Janelle's oldest son. So it was a lot about her and her kids. But of course, Kody and Robyn were invited. Yeah. But it just sounds like it was so awkward and sad for so many of them.
Well, I think this was the first big family event since Christine leaving and the family being so split up, right? And so it was sad in every single one of the interviews. Like, everybody felt awkward. No one knew how it was going to go. Janelle talks about, like, you know, she said hi to Mary or was like cordial to Mary. And Kody and Robyn are talking about kind of being put in a corner for their own safety from the rest of the family. And every single person was just talking about the fact that it was just so awkward. And they're trying to navigate the fact that there's going to be future weddings, right? At this point, it's only Maddie, Aspen, and Mykelti that are married. So that's 3 kids. Logan being the 4th wedding. They've got a lot more weddings to go. They have a lot more grandbabies to come. And they're kind of seeing how awkward it's going to be if they don't fix something between them, and yet none of them are really capable of that yet. Like, Christine's talking about how everyone talks behind each other's backs, then you find out what people say about you and it's super awkward. And Janelle, it seemed like at this wedding was kind of the final nail in the coffin for her.
Yeah, she says it's done. And I know she had probably made some decisions before going to this wedding, but she said it's done. I know for a fact it's done. I saw Kody. We barely even talked. Even though, keep in mind here, that they haven't officially broken up or divorced at this point.
Yeah.
But it's so sad because Janelle is saying he barely did even acknowledge my existence. Kody is saying, I saw Janelle, but it was just so sad. It was just such a sad reunion. And I'm just thinking, Well, first of all, Kody, a lot of the sadness is coming from him and the decisions he had made. So you don't have the right to be sad. Let them be sad. You need to figure out something on your end there. Second of all, the way that this is going about to me is very disturbing because they have, how many kids do they have together, Janelle and Kody?
A lot.
A lot. Sorry, I don't remember off the top of my head. But they have a lot of kids together. And this is their relationship. It's almost like they were casually dating in high school. And then as they grew up, they just grew apart and decided not to continue dating.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem like they were ever married based on the way that things are being handled now, which is a huge, this paints a very bad color for polygamy in general, that could happen that way.
Yeah. And I mean, she talked about the fact that it's like bittersweet. Like she's recognizing the fact that they're kind of ghosting each other almost. And yeah, it just doesn't feel like the end of a marriage. It feels like the end of something that nobody can quite put a finger on. And that's a good point. I think it does paint a negative light on polygamy because there doesn't have to be any type of official declaration for it to end, because him and Janelle were never legally married. That's caused a lot of problems for Janelle. Janelle keeps talking about the fact that she can't even fully say it's over until after they figured out what they're doing with Coyote Pass, until they've split assets, which she doesn't really have any because her money was put into Robyn's house and things were split between the family in a way that kind of just leaves her hanging. And she wants her piece of Coyote Pass. But at the end of the day, I think it's kind of showing that without the religious tie, which Kody doesn't believe in the religious tie anymore. It seems like Janelle does. But still, without that religious tie, there's actually no real marriage there. And that's got to be so hard and disappointing after, I mean, they've been married for what, like 30 years, right? That's a long time to invest your life into a relationship.
Right. And I do know that along the way, Janelle has enjoyed her independence. And they went into this polygamous lifestyle and marriage willingly. Well, Kody says it wasn't willingly, which, you know, he needs to, anyway. So they went into this as adults, choosing this lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It just is crazy that it's turned out to be what it is now. And that it is not, I don't know, I guess Kody is very well known for just dragging people along, just dragging them along. I don't know if he's just throwing little bits of hope here and there once in a while, but even Mary, if you see the show, you will see that it seems so obvious that it's over. We're thinking, Mary, wake up. What are you doing here with Kody still? But I think that Kody along the way, and we saw this in some of the things that they did in the last season. Yeah, it was their anniversary, right? Mm-hmm. Where he would say things that was almost giving her this little bit of false hope that he would possibly come around to fixing their relationship. So I fear that he was doing that with all of the wives, even though he claims he never loved them. I
think that if Kody actually tried to have a relationship with Janelle's adult children again, Janelle... Oh, here's going to be an unpopular opinion. I'm with Robyn on this one. Ooh. I think that Janelle and Kody could reconcile if enough effort was put into it. I think Janelle doesn't... It's not that she doesn't love Kody. She just got so used to not having him around and his lack of effort. And then when he started hurting her children, she was able to separate. And I think if the relationship was healed with the kids and then he tried to make an effort with Janelle, I still think... Because she said she's open to a plural relationship. She's never been a super needy wife as far as time and attention goes. Yeah. But her children having a good relationship and being respected is very important to her.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, rightfully so. And so, yeah, I think that watching that one is almost it's so different than with Mary, where he just had such like disregard for her and there was just no care at all there. And I think that him and Janelle, it could have gone a lot different with not even that much effort, just trying to be a good dad to your kids, and it could have been completely different.
Oh, yes. I definitely think that the reason that Janelle and Kody are not together right now is because of the way that Kody was treating Janelle's children, which is crazy that we even have to say Janelle's children not their children, because it's seeming like they are this separate family. At this point, they have come down to Kody and Robyn, and then all of the other wives, and their children as their own little families. It's completely separated.
But the thing is, it's crazy too, is when they were talking about this awkward wedding, they kept referring back to Aspen's wedding, which was only 4 years before that. And they kept comparing it like we were all still a family. And now we obviously know that the Browns were not a perfect, happy family, rainbows, butterflies for a long time. I get that. But when Christine mentioned that at Aspen's wedding, she had absolutely zero intentions of leaving the family or leaving Kody at all, and that things were good between them, good. We all know what that means. But you know what I mean? Like, it was still good.
As
good enough
as
to
it
not be
ever
thinking,
had been, maybe.
Yeah.
It would be the way to say
and
that.
Kody mentioned the same thing. He was like, Christine and I were good at Aspen's wedding. Like, things were fine. And so it's crazy that it was within a couple years. But Kody even admits it was right after Aspen's wedding that they moved to Flagstaff.
Which just goes to show how how detrimental it was for them to move to Flagstaff, and then of course the COVID-19, and how those two things combined is what really just destroyed all of their ties.
Yeah, and because I feel like it amplified the cracks that were already there. Right? Yeah. Because in this episode, they do go into Kody's everyday life, like you mentioned, is now just with Robyn and their kids. And that's basically it. Like, that's their everyday go-to life. And I feel like especially in COVID or during COVID, that's when we saw when all of the wives were so separated, and it took Miles, and Janelle talked about this, right? Where he was too tired to drive over and go and see Janelle. And so he was just going to stay at Robyn's one more night. And then all of a sudden he's having, he is on the same page with Robyn about COVID, and Janelle's kids are older and don't want to have the same restrictions. All these things that separated just made it that much easier to keep the family separate. And ultimately Kody ended up choosing to be with Robyn's family all the time.
Yeah. And this is a perfect segue into how Robyn's children were treated differently, and how they treated and looked at Kody as their dad. It almost seemed like the children of Robyn and Kody together,
Saul and
Ari, were expecting their dad to be in a monogamous relationship. They weren't okay with the idea of him ever leaving the house, which goes to give some insight on how Robyn would have been raising their children together and what to expect.
Yeah, that's something Janelle actually speaks out about in this episode, which I thought was very interesting to hear her, because I feel like typically Janelle's, like you said, very independent, just like, it's okay, they can do it how they want, whatever. And she was talking about the expectations that, when he wouldn't come over to her house because Robyn's kids are, I can't be away for more than a couple days, because Ari would just have meltdowns and be so upset. And she was like, my kids weren't allowed to have meltdowns. They understood from the very beginning that this family was a plural family. And I'm sure living in the same house was helpful in that aspect too, where they weren't going from house. He wasn't going from house to house that was miles apart, right? He's going from like room to room.
Right.
But even before that, when they were all like in the trailers or stuff next to each other, it's still, their kids had the expectation that I'm in a plural family. He's not just my dad. He has to go be with the other moms, the other kids. And because Saul and Ari were born right as they were like moving to Flagstaff, and they were so little, and then all of a sudden he was around them more because of COVID. But even him choosing to not go to Isabel's surgery, right? Didn't he say part of that, other than just the COVID restrictions? I remember there being something said about he couldn't go anywhere for too long, or else Ari would just have breakdowns.
Wasn't it Solomon at that point?
Or was it Saul? So, either way, those kids are definitely not used to the same standards of being in a plural family.
Which is so interesting to me because, well, so many things. First of all, Robyn claims that she would have never tried to keep Kody from going to the other wives' house. And maybe she wouldn't personally say, hey, Kody, no, I need you to stay here. But the way that she was raising her children, that they would have a complete meltdown if Kody wasn't around, I don't think she was setting those expectations from the beginning. Just based on my experience in a plural family, and just, I don't know, it just doesn't fit quite right.
Well, yeah.
Also keep in mind here that Robyn is all about the plural family, right? She from the beginning, I'm all about this. This is what I signed up for. This is what I want. This is what I believe in. This is my faith, yada, yada, yada. Keep in mind, Robyn had never lived in a polygamous plural marriage before. This is her first one. So yes, sure, you can say all those things, but when it gets down to it and you have to sacrifice, because I wouldn't want to sacrifice. I wouldn't want you to have to sacrifice me being with other people. I understand the selfishness and the sacrifice, that I wouldn't want that either. But it's what she claimed to want. And then when push comes to shove, the actions that she, I guess, portrays in the show and in her life say otherwise.
Yeah, it's obvious that there was, whether you want to call it favoritism, whether it was out of convenience, like Kody tries to claim, whether it was out of respect and loyalty, like my Kody voice, respect and loyalty,
great
and
voice.
that's why he was choosing to always stay with Robyn, whether it's she's the only one that he loved. I don't know. All of those things combined, but it's very clear that that's his family unit now. Those are his kids that are being treated like his children. All of the other ones are, almost all of them are adults. They're all being ignored by him. Even Savannah, who's not an adult yet, was already being ignored by him and being lumped in with all of those other children. And so it's super sad to see. And then you hear things like Kody saying that Ari said she hated Christine, or not hated. She didn't like Christine because Christine hurt Daddy. Right. And when Kody mentioned that is a normal thing for any family member to feel. If someone hurts Sam, he'll forgive them long before I will. Right. Because I don't like people hurting my family. And same vice versa. You're protective of the people you love. So for a little kid to say that, I can understand. But where is she learning that Christine hurt Daddy? And it seems hypocritical of Kody because he talks about, these other kids are being I'm being talked about to them and they're being pitted against me. And yet Ari saying she doesn't like Christine, even though she doesn't even know Christine really. It just shows that those family lines and divisions are running deep. They're running into the kids and the kids can't avoid it. At one point, Robyn was like, the issues between the parents shouldn't have anything to do with the kids. Okay, but kids are around. You can't avoid it, especially when so many of the divisions are because of Kody's relationships with his adult children. It's not even, like I said, I don't even think his and Janelle's relationship's the issue. It's Kody's relationship with Janelle's children that caused the divide between him and Janelle, right? So there really isn't a way to not have that fractured between children and between the other mothers.
Not to mention that, I mean, you just look at the way that Kody has been handling it, and some of the wives have been handling the situation, the separation within the family, and it would be 1,000% impossible for the kids not to be affected by it.
Yeah.
You can't leave the kids out of it. They're very much affected by it. Every single one of them. Even Robyn's kids are very much affected by it. Because Kody comes home and he's doom and gloom and grumpy because of, Christine did this to me. And of course the kids are going to be affected by that. Their life is going to be different because their dad is acting a certain way. And now Robyn's having issues with Kody because Cody's acting a certain way. And now Robyn is different. And the kids are going to be affected. Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. Just like any other divorce is going to put a strain on children. Yeah. This is the same type of thing, except for multiplied, right? Multiplied by so many, and still in this monogamous relationship that's not really meant to be monogamous. I did feel sad for Robyn in this episode when she talked about the fact that her kids, she doesn't really talk about the fact that they're in a plural family or about their other siblings because of the fact that those siblings aren't around. So if she tries to make it a big deal of like, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday, or it's this or that, or tries to talk about them, she's not really going to mention them because that's just going to make them have more questions as to why they're so broken up. And those kids are little, which would be really hard. And that would be sucky to be like, I can't really talk about that family that much, or else it just makes them feel more sad about the fact that we're not really a family with them, but they kind of are, but they kind of aren't.
Yeah.
And now it's this like broken up, distant family relationship that they don't know whether or not it will ever be fixed. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. And Robyn has always said that she wants that plural family, but once again, I know there's a lot of opinions out there, and some of those opinions would say that no, Robyn probably doesn't talk about this other family because she doesn't want to have to share her time with Kody and that and the other, and the kids to even be aware of what's going on. I'm not saying that's how I personally feel. That's just, I know that there are a lot of people that feel that way.
Yeah.
So it's tricky. It's tricky to know exactly where Robyn's intentions lie.
Yeah. And then you have some of the adult kids like Mykelti and Tony who are trying to say, you know what, parents, you have your issues. I'm still going to have a good relationship with Robyn and my dad. I'm also going to have a good relationship with my mom, and really trying to be that peacemaker. And in this episode, we see the twins' birth, Mykelti giving birth to her twin boys, and watching as she says, you know what, you guys are going to have to be adults, and you guys are going to have to figure it out, because I'm not going to sacrifice what I want, which I think is awesome of Mykelti to not sacrifice what she wants, because the parents are being immature about it.
Agreed.
So she invites Robyn. She invites Christine. She's like, Robyn's going to stay and help with the babies for as long as she can. When she goes home, Mom, then you can come over and you can help me then. So I think that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, and it does speak volumes here about Robyn, because we have Mykelti that she would have no expectation to keep this relationship with Robyn, right? But clearly Robyn means a lot to her, and she even says that Robyn came into her life in a very important time and she helped her a lot, and she continues to want that relationship with her. So I don't know that Robyn has always been this, hey, I want to destroy this family. I don't think that was her intention. And
no,
it's clear and evident as you see Mykelti's relationship with her and how she wants her around in such a important part of her life, where she's having these twins. And we've been through a couple childbirths, and man, those are by far the most emotional, intense moments that I've ever experienced. Just there's so much going on, and you really want your loved ones around you. So to me, that says something about Robyn's character, because Mykelti is wanting her around in those moments.
And it showed, that Christine and Robyn both are choosing Mykelti over their own personal issues, over their feelings towards each other. It still shows that they both care about Mykelti as mothers as well. So, because Robyn could have been like, your mom doesn't want me there. I assume it's how she feels, blah, 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 so I'm not going to go. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want it to be awkward, because it will be awkward, right? Like, we know it's going to be awkward. But the fact that they chose Mykelti over their own issues too also speaks volumes, I think.
Yeah.
And it was, again, this episode just felt so sad, because Robyn feeling sad about the fact, like, we both had a grandbaby because they're twins, and this is kind of what I had signed up for, that we were going to be grandparents together, and that's not going to be a thing, even though we still are. And that, again, goes back to this dynamic of, like, they're not going anywhere. They're going to have to deal with each other for the rest of their lives. This is not the last grandbaby. Now, maybe the fractures are so deep that they're not going to be invited to a lot of events, or some they will and some will go. I don't know. We'll have to see, right? But they have a lot of future events. There's a lot of weddings. There's going to be a lot of grandbabies. There's going to be a lot of birthdays and holidays and other things that they're going to have to decide as a family. Are we going to do what that child wants, regardless of our feelings? Are we going to make up enough to be able to be friendly? Because at this point, the couple events they've been to, they're not being friendly. They're just avoiding each other and making it really awkward.
Yep.
But they're going to have to figure out which way they're going to go. Or are they going to separate so much and break apart into such different pieces that they don't ever have to interact, which I think would be so much more harmful to the kids to have to always have it be such a big separation.
Yeah, it was sad. And I mean, there were moments where I even teared up during this episode. I just felt so bad for so many of these people. And, even Kody in some of these cases, he made a lot of mistakes. It's clear. Kody has made a lot of mistakes. But I think that he is now really having to suffer because of the choices he has made. I wouldn't say that I feel bad for him, because, you brought this on yourself. But at the same time, the situation just sucks, and it's so, so sad. And to me, it breaks my heart to see the kids that involved in a situation that is, I just don't think that the kids are given enough credit for the crap they're having to deal with.
Well, and I know we mention it probably in every episode. This is reality TV, right? So we get these little snippets, snip, 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 snip. And in this case, this is snippets from years ago. Their twins are like, what, almost 2. But you're seeing these little snippets of their lives, but you can tell the little snippets of pain, but like there's everyday stuff that they're going through that lead to these snippets that we're seeing that makes me sad for all of them. You know, we're seeing these big moments of sadness, but like the everyday hurt and the everyday reminders of everything that's going on and dealing with one another or the lack of that is going to run deep. And they're still just a family. Like they're just people trying to live lives and be happy, and they're kids who are used to being on TV since they were little and just kind of stuck in the situation. It's not like they really had a choice in any of this. They didn't have a choice to be in a plural family to begin with. They were just born into it. They didn't have a choice of whether or not they were going to have their lives be plastered all over TV. And now they're having to watch what's happening between their parents in such a public way that other kids would never have to see. You would never, you know, a lot of parents, when they're getting divorced, yeah, maybe they hear their parents fight and they're glad their parents got divorced. But the way they have to see all of it on TV, I think is just, again, so sad and so heartbreaking.
I'm curious if they all watch it. I'm curious if the Brown family sit down and watch this show. Or if they just know this is such a dumpster fire of a situation that I don't even want to see it. I don't want to see what kind of creative editing they did to our lives and family, because at this point they have all these contracts signed. They don't have that much control over what they decide to show about their family. So yeah, I would not want to be plastered all over the world the way that they have been.
Absolutely not. So here's our question for you all. Is it possible for families that have drifted so far apart to ever truly heal? Or are some wounds just too deep?
Let us know what you think in the comments. And thank you all so much for being here with us again. We look forward to talking with you soon.
Talk to y'all soon.